What are you at? It's Paul from Wicked Acorn. Welcome back. It's almost bonfire night. I'm getting a little like the night before Christmas, all excited and visions of sugar plum bomb fireworks dancing in my head. Not really. I don't do the fireworks thing. Not that I'm against it or anything. I just don't. I don't do the fireworks thing. It's not something we've ever done. We always did a bonfire on bonfire night, and that's all we ever did. Although I do remember one time going over and sneaking into my uncle's greenhouse and stealing kerosene to throw on the fire. That was a bit of a bomb fire, and the neighbor was yelling through her window at us to stop doing it. Anyway, it's the 4th of November. And today in history was Thomas Wolsey. Cardinal Wolsey was arrested on charges of treason in 1530. Now, it said something about it not being treason, and it was something else. Um, I don't see it there. But it was treason that he was arrested for, but it had a different name on it. And yeah. Anyway, he's the guy that couldn't get the annulment of Henry VIII's marriage. So Henry had him arrested on charges of high treason at Cawood Castle in Yorkshire. And the painting there, some famous painting. Good evening, Richard Ainsworth. How you doing? Uh, is You can see Wolsey being arrested in the background there, but that's not how it happened. Henry VIII wasn't there when that happened. This day in history, in 1646, the Massachusetts Bay Colony had enacted a law that made denying that the Holy Bible is the Word of God a capital offense punishable by death. Good evening, Darren. How you doing? Um, and one of those origin story myths from history is that the the Puritans, the Pilgrims, left England because of religious persecution. That's one of the origin story myths about America. They left England because of religious persecution, but that is not what happened. They left England because they weren't free to persecute other religions. They uh, they didn't think that the Church of England and the King was being strict enough, so they moved away so they could start persecuting other religions. Not that there were many other religions in the New World, but the, if you were of no religion, you were punishable by death for saying that the Bible is not true. And that happened this day in history in 1646. Another one, the Gatling gun. Now, this is one of those things that I always liked to see in movies back in the day, those old cowboy movies. Um, Richard Jordan Gatling patented his hand cranked machine gun on November 4th, 1862. He was inspired to create the weapon after observing more Civil War soldiers died from disease than from battle wounds, hoping his invention would reduce casualties by decreasing the size of armies. Interesting gun. It's a series of revolving barrels rather than multiple bullets going through the same barrel. Interesting invention. Anyway, I don't know. What a weird coincidence. I was just watching a video about Henry VIII and his wives and how he died and where he is buried. Apparently his coffin exploded on the way to the crypt. So too Elizabeth I. Yeah, Henry VIII's coffin exploded on the way to the crypt. That is true. Or at least so I've heard or read as well. And I think quite there was some delay in his burial, and I think that was part of it, part of the reason for it. Good evening, Astrax. I was looking at a video about AI before we started here, and it was somebody reacting to Joe Rogan and Elon Musk talking about some new AI song and how much Joe Rogan liked the new AI song. And I was just thinking, AI, I mean, there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. There's not much we can do about anything, really, but there's certainly not much we can do about AI. Um, it has its place, it has its uses. But I was just thinking, and they were talking, the people reacting to the video were just going on about how it's going to replace artists and replace music and replace musicians, and it just got me wondering. Like I was thinking about the Luddites and people against industrialization that was happening back during the Industrial Revolution and smashing machines and stuff like that. I mean, there's no stopping progress. It cannot be stopped. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. Can't get the toothpaste back in. I yeah yeah. It's it's interesting. What can I say? I've heard some AI music, and I mean, there's not much happening in music these days that interests me. Period. AI included. So, what can I say? But it got me thinking about clothing and how, like, you know, I shop at, Goodwill, and it's, Primark clothing and stuff like that. And it just got me thinking about is in the future, will the masses be listening to AI music and the rich, affluent people get to hear real musicians? Like we wear, cheap polyester nylon clothing from Primark, but there's still handmade, hand stitched clothing out there made by tailors. Just normal people can't really afford that, right? Is that the way art will go? Is that the way music will go? The rich are the only people that will be able to listen to real music, and the rest of us serfs will have to listen to AI. I don't know. It was an interesting rabbit hole I went down thinking about that. Another invention. So I was a little bit. Oh yes, indeed. No worries. I'm glad you're back. Uh, this is another thing. I mean, refrigeration. We were talking about frozen peas last night. About the invention of frozen peas. What was that guy's name? Birdseye. And this was part of that. It was before that. 1879, Thomas Elkins, an African American inventor, patented a refrigerating apparatus, what we'd call a fridge nowadays. Um, that is one thing I miss, is the what you guys call American fridge. I miss that. We have the under counter fridge here. I know you can get American fridges here, but they don't seem to be as common. Uh, the fridge we have in our house here is the kind of fridge I had in my shed for keeping beer cold. uh, but yeah, I miss the American fridge, the stand-up fridge. I hate having to get down on my hands and knees to see what's in the fridge, looking for the ketchup or something. Um, anyway, this guy invented it, and it's interesting that a black guy invented it, 1879. I mean, that's not long after slavery, after the American Civil War. And on this day in history, 1921, there's a resistance to AI developing. Yeah, like I said, I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle, though. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's out. And there's no stopping it now. Um, there's a really interesting conversation. If you want to uh, listen to a good conversation about AI, John, what's his name? Comedian guy. Um, it'll come to me in a second. I'm terrible with names. Uh, he spoke to some guy who is like the grandfather of AI, and they started on it back in the 70s. And he just retired recently, and he worked at Google at the end of it, at the end of his career. And he goes through the whole. Jon Stewart is he does a comedy show, American comedy show, but the conversation between Jon Stewart and the guy that invented AI, one of the lead guys on the team that invented AI. And he was explaining how they invented it, how they came up with it, and all the implications, ramifications, and all that stuff. And it was a really, really interesting conversation, like explaining. I won't go into it. It's a really long conversation. Like he starts right at the beginning of how they started training AI, and but it's a really interesting conversation. And he says you're leading the charge against it. It's become the font of all knowledge for some people. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's like I was saying before. Like one time you'd go out to the shed and you couldn't look up things, and it would create conversation. But I don't know. There's no stopping it, and I enjoy it. I enjoy using it, and it's a absolute nuisance. People overuse it and people abuse it, but it's really interesting using AI to bring old photographs to life. It's interesting tool for making history videos, and I've watched people complaining about that, about people using it in history videos. But I mean, I'm not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes and make them think that's real or anything like that. And if they do, they need to do some critical thinking courses or something. But on this day in history, the brown shirts were formed, 1921. So there you go. That didn't happen overnight, did it? 1921 is when the brown shirts were started. And they were known as the brown shirts due to the brown uniforms worn by their members, and they were a crucial element in the Nazi Party's rise to power, using intimidation and violence to gain influence. And they were like formed as like the security for Nazi Party meetings. They were like the sergeant at arms. And there you go, 1921. And it was, you know, a little over a decade later, he was in charge of the country. I only put this one in because I wanted to say this. On November 4th, 1929, Antarctic explorer Richard E. Byrd and Lawrence McKinley Gould, along with their expedition team, embarked on a challenging 2.5 month, 1,500-mile dog sledge journey into the Queen Maud Mountains, marking the first exploration of the interior of Antarctica. And I only put that in because I really wanted to say Dickie Bird. Parents come up with some really unfortunate names for their children sometimes, don't they? Like, why would you call your son Richard E. Bird? He's going to be called Dickie Bird. And I get like, I don't know. Yeah, it's affinity. I have not heard of this. Uh, is it like Photoshop? Is it just like a Photoshop thing? There's uh, GIMP is one I use, and it's a free version of like a Photoshop knockoff, and I use that quite a bit. Uh, Works well for it's Photoshop, but it's like a rip off of Photoshop. Changing to it to try and kill off Adobe. Yeah, I don't know much about these things. There's software I use, like all the software I use is free software, and suits me just fine. Yeah, Tiki Bird. And there you go. 1933, the Reichstag fire. The trial for the Reichstag fire was this day in history in 1933, and Dimitrov was the guy that took the fall for it. And of course, pretty sure it's Affinity. I'm not familiar with it. Is it Photoshop? Actual Photoshop? Like I don't know if I can show you here. That's I might crash everything here if I do this. Um, yeah, Photoshop is like the industry standard for this stuff. But this is one called GIMP. And as you can see, it's very similar to um, Photoshop. I've used Photoshop, so I just dragged a photo in here. So that's the thumbnail for tonight's video. And it's got all the, like, the magic wand is not going to work too well here on this photo, but you can do that. So I magic wanded that, and it just and I can change the color of what I've selected there, and it has all the norm. I've not discovered anything I could do in Photoshop that I can't do here. But then again, the last time I used Photoshop was 15 years ago. I'll check it out. It's as I was just saying, I've not discovered anything that I've been unable to do in GIMP, and I'm doing pretty basic stuff. Like mostly what I do is just magic wand tools. What I use most, just removing backgrounds and things, changing stuff around, moving stuff around. So I don't do a lot of things in it. I'll check it out though. If it's free, I'll check it out. I So as you know, tomorrow's Bonfire night, and I won't be live streaming from in here because I'll be out by the fire. So I'll try and live stream from the fire. I don't know how successful that's going to be. I live streamed to my phone once, and it was. I love that joke about the zero gravity pen. Do you know that one, Darren? Uh, yeah, so I'll try and live stream from the fire out there and see how it works. Um, don't know. We'll see what happens. Let me know if you know the joke about the zero gravity pen, Darren. Otherwise, I'll tell you if you don't know it. If you otherwise, we'll just laugh together. All right, I'm going to let this video roll, and you can chime in. So the joke is, for those that don't know, um, Darren knows. The joke is the Americans spent millions of dollars inventing a pen that would work in zero gravity up in space, and in the space race. And when the wall came down, which we were, oh, I missed that one. That was one last one we missed. The last one was the wall. This day in history. Uh, the Alexanderplatz demonstration was today in 1989. I remember watching it on television back when it happened. It was quite moving. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And of course, nowadays people think that Reagan was responsible for it, right? Yeah, so the Russians, when the wall came down and the reporters got to go into Russia, they said, "Well, what did you guys do? Like, how much money did you guys spend on inventing the zero gravity pen? What did you do?" And the Russian guy said, "We used pencil." Have you ever experienced that, like trying to write something with a ballpoint pen upside down, and eventually it stops working because it's gravity fed, right? So the Americans spent millions of dollars inventing a, and actually the episode of The Simpsons where Homer saves the spaceship with the inanimate steel object or something, that's based on the zero gravity pen. There was something, I can't remember which mission it was, but one of the Apollo missions, something went wrong, and it might have been Apollo 13 or something, the the one that didn't make it to the moon, and they used the zero gravity pen as a tool for something it wasn't intended for. So it was that Simpsons episode was kind of a joke on the Papermate Pulse. Was that the name of it? I don't know the name of it. There you go. All right, well, let's get into the. There was a watch. Yes, I imagine there was a watch. I've never heard of it, but yes, I'm sure there was. Apollo 13. Yeah, the one that didn't make it. Coincidentally, 13, right? All right, let's get my favorite Bonfire Night movie going. I was watching. I was here working on the Mosaic today, watching the entire history of the Vikings in Britain. It was like a 2 hour video, and they mentioned this something that comes up in this that. So I guess this video is 2021. I made this video.
You might find it surprising that not everybody celebrates Bonfire Night, but I don't know why you would. It is, after all, distinctly a British thing. Why would anyone else in the world celebrate a failed coup on the King of England 400 odd years ago? It's a strange thing to celebrate a failed coup. I wonder if years from now the Americans will dress up like this guy and celebrate January 6th. But one thing the Americans don't do is celebrate Bonfire Night. Not many places in the world outside the UK do. Unlike most of the world, and most of Canada for that matter, in Newfoundland we've always celebrated Bonfire Night. Newfoundland was England's first claim in North America, so there are still deep, long-lasting ties with this country.
So Newfoundland is England's first colony. And then you get into distinctions like Ireland was England's first colony, and Newfoundland was the first overseas colony. No, Ireland is overseas. So Ireland, I think, holds the honor of being England's first colony, but Newfoundland is the first, colony, in the New World, so to speak.
I spent most of my life in Canada, and not just anywhere in Canada. I grew up in Newfoundland. It's Canada's most easterly province. It's actually the most easterly part of North America. It's the bit closest to here. You just turn left at Greenland, which is how the Vikings found it 1,000 years ago today. Well,
And the Beatles.
which is how the Vikings found it 1,000 years ago today. Well, maybe not today, but it could have been today. If you follow science and history news, you'll know it's been known for some time that the Vikings set up station in L'Anse Meadows, Newfoundland, long before Columbus supposedly discovered America. Recent findings have narrowed it down to a specific year, and that year was 1,000 years ago exactly, in the year 1021. Scientists used an atmospheric radiocarbon signal produced by a dated solar storm as a reference. This enabled them to pinpoint the exact felling year of a tree that was used in the Viking settlement to the year 1021.
So the settlement in L'Anse Meadows, uh, there's nothing left of it. It's everything you see there is reconstruction. When they were trying, they knew the Norse sagas and stories of the Norse going to North America, Vinland, the New World, and so they were searching for a place, and they approached these old fellers, fishermen, Highly recommend you looking into the work Alan Wilson and Baron Blackett if you're going to delve into the ancient British history. There's a lot of lies and cover-ups about the truth. Yes, I imagine there are. I will. I'll have a look into that. Um, and they went talking to the old fellers in the community, and were like, have you ever seen anything, mounds or anything like that? And he said, oh yeah, there's a place up the road there. And this is back in the 60s, 70s. And sure enough, they went and started digging there and did archaeology there and found there was a Norse settlement there back in 1021. And they found a a log or a tree of some sort that still had bark on it. And if you find bark, you can uh, do dendrochronology very accurately if there's bark on it, because you know when the tree was felled. Uh, the last you have the last growth ring, so you know exactly when the tree was felled, and you can go back. So they knew exactly how old the tree was. And there was a solar storm back in the year, whenever it was, you know, decades before, and they could pinpoint it to 1021 very accurately. And interesting place. They don't think it was a settlement. It was like a camp, a, you know, and they found butternut, butternut seeds. And butternut doesn't grow in Newfoundland. You have to go farther south to find butternut trees. So yeah, they were using it as a base to explore uh, farther in North America. So they were other places in North America as well, but the only settlement they found, or it's not really a settlement, it's more of they think they overwintered there, but not really a settlement. Anyway, uh, and flint nappings from starting fires. It's mad the stuff they come up with, right? Like they found the bits of flint that the striker flint for starting fires, and they know where these came from. Insane. And they came from much farther south in Newfoundland, these bits of flint that they were using. And of course, this is really accurate how they use this science as well. Interesting story though. Hundreds of years before Columbus and all those guys.
In the Viking settlement to the year 1021. We all have an insulated view of the world. When asked what the second city was in the UK, the people of Birmingham said, Birmingham. The people of Manchester said, London. We're all the stars of our own movie. When we first moved here, I was listening to BBC Manchester one day, and I heard Phil Tro say, fill your boots. Wait, what? That's one of our sayings. As a matter of fact, I would have thought it a definitive Newfoundland statement. Now, it's unlikely that Manchester got it from Newfoundland, but likewise, I think it's unlikely that Newfoundland got it from Manchester. I think there must be a common ancestor somewhere. So why do we celebrate Bonfire Night? Well, normally I'd start telling you about Guy Fawkes and gunpowder plots and treason. Nowadays, most people will ask, when's Bonfire Night? They don't remember the rhyme, remember the 5th of November. All that stuff happened back when Christ was a boy. And that's probably a good enough, because nowadays Christmas is more about a time of peace and goodwill than the birth of a child in some far-off place and time. The origins haven't been completely forgotten, but it's not what it's about for most people. Do you think the guys that have been setting off fireworks for the last week have been celebrating the failed attempt to get a Protestant king off the throne back in 1605? But we did and do celebrate Bonfire Night in Newfoundland. We'd spend weeks gathering up wood and old tires, but I don't recommend that one nowadays. It was a competition amongst us kids to see who had the biggest bonfire, and we weren't above nicking off of other people's piles either. We knew nothing about Guy Fawkes or the origins of it all. It was just another reason to get together and have some good fun. Now the fireworks, we don't and never did have them on Bonfire Night. Something like this was our fireworks. It's called a blasty bough, and we made sure we had lots of them. When you cut the boughs off a fir tree, they turn this rusty red color, and when you throw them on the fire, they make this fantastic high up in the sky. Bonfire Night has always been my favorite, and I've gained a new appreciation for it since this year. It's unfortunate that once again the large gatherings at bonfires have been cancelled. Of all the celebrations we have in this country, Bonfire Night is the most celebration that there is. If you ask an American with the slightest knowledge of Bonfire Night what it was all about, they'd probably describe the British 4th of July, probably because you set fireworks like the Americans do. And in a way they'd be right, but it's the birth of a nation.
Don't know why that's glitching like that. Oh, I got dropped frames here. Why is that, I wonder? That happens sometimes. Oh, we're almost at the end. I'll let it play.
It's about being a nation. It's the celebration that defines this nation. It's not when we show the world who we are. It's when we say to ourselves, this is us. We gather around the fire like our ancestors did and talk about the hunt, or what a meanie Mr. Right is in sixth form. Because it doesn't really matter why we get together. It's important that we do get together. It's yours. You own this one. This is your 4th of July. It's your Canada Day. So if you don't celebrate Bonfire Night, it's time to start. I'm ready. How about you?
So I'll have to look into that. I don't know anything about that stuff. The Colbren alphabet. I mean, we're talking, who was writing stuff down back then? Arthurian. We're talking, that's Dark Ages. Was anybody writing stuff down back then? Not a lot of stuff being written down. I'll have to look into that. I don't know much about that period of history. It's and the whole Arthur thing. I don't know much about Arthurian history. Arthur was whether he was real or not, I do not know. Uh, the establishment got what they wanted. Is this like Graham Hancock world we're getting into here now? I'll have to check it out. Sounds interesting. I don't mind looking into such things. So there you go. Tomorrow is Bonfire Night, and I will try and live stream from the fire with my phone and see what kind of results we have with that. I've only done it once before, and the audio was all messed up. It's a difficult thing to do. But it's pretty amazing, isn't it, that you can do such things. So what can you say? It's an amazing world we live in. Like people in Antarctica could be watching this right now, although I don't think so, but they could be. So there you go. So if you're in Antarctica, leave a comment, and if you're not in Antarctica, put in where you are. If you're not in Greater Manchester here, thereabouts. I think Darren, you're over in Wales, over that way, aren't you? So there you go. So that's all I have to say about that tonight. Won't be doing this tomorrow. It'll be a live stream from the fire, so a vertical from the phone kind of live stream. So we'll see how that works out, and I'll see you tomorrow by the fire.